with the 2021-2022 NBA season starting very soon, I decided now is as good of a time as any to start discussing every single team before the season starts. And I decided it made the most sense to do it in the order from like the best teams and like my own opinion, like best to worst. And right now I'm on the 23rd team, and that's where I placed the Washington Wizards, meaning I think the Washington Wizards will have the 23rd best record this upcoming season. So in today's video, I'll basically just be discussing the Washington Wizards, discussing how good I think they will be, as well as discussing how good I think their players will be. Before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to help me reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro. To start the video off, I want to talk about the Washington Wizards on the offensive side of the floor. And to be honest, I actually think this will be a very good offensive team due to the fact that they have plenty of players who could just get buckets on their team, and they have plenty of guys who can create plays and create their own offense. I think that will lead to them being one of the better offenses in the whole NBA. Even though they might not have as much star players as other teams, I honestly think they will rank somewhere around the 5th to maybe even the 10th best offense in the league. They'll be led by Bradley Beal, who's shown himself to be one of the best scorers in the NBA. As last season he averaged over 30 points, and I'm expecting a similar season, except him to average somewhere around 28 to 32 points per game. I don't really have much to say about him. We all know how great of a player he is, and I don't really think he's gonna get like better or worse. Next, I want to talk about Rihachimura, who's a guy who I think will have a breakout year, and I think he'll be in talks for the Most Improved Player award. Because I truly believe Rui is a guy who can average 16 or 20 points per game this upcoming season. I think he's going to take a huge leap on the offensive side of the floor without Russell Westbrook, because he's probably going to be the second option on this team. And I just think he needs to work on his aggressiveness. And I think he could truly be a great player and show a lot of people why they were comparing him to star players and saying he has star potential. I definitely think he's going to break out this year. Next, I want to talk about Kuzma, who I think is one of the most overhated players in the NBA. Trust me, as a Lakers fan, I didn't really like him because he was just very dumb. But people have to stop acting like he's a very terrible player. He's not the best, but he's also not the worst. He's a pretty solid NBA player. I actually think he has the chance to become a very good NBA player, because I think in this new scenery, he could take his game to the next level. Because we saw earlier in his career, he had seasons where he was like the main. Next, I want to discuss Danny Advija. And to be honest, I'm also expecting a pretty big season out of him, because last season he was very misutilized, and I actually think he could have been one of the better rookies that like last year if he was given more opportunity and just played properly, because last year Scott Brooks forced him to just be a spot up corner 3-point shooter when he's meant to be handling the ball and creating plays. And I think this season he's definitely going to get a lot of opportunities to handle the ball and create plays. The thing that will just help him reach his full potential as a player, which I think is maybe a start or just maybe a really good starter. Next, I want to talk about Daniel Gafford, and last year he really helped the Wizards, because as soon as they got him, they turned into one of the better teams in the NBA. I think he's just a very impactful player who helps you win games, and I expect him to do some of those things next season at even a higher level, because I think his season averages will go up and look way more impressive than they had his whole career. I'm honestly expecting him to average somewhere around 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks on like crazy efficiency, because last season on the Wizards he averaged 10 rebounds, not 10 rebounds, I mean 10 points and 5 rebounds in only 17 minutes. And I think if you put that to put his minutes to 30 minutes, he could average 15 points and 10 rebounds. You also have to remember that Montrezl Harrell's on this team and he's probably going to get a decent amount of play time. So I doubt Daniel's going to play 30 minutes, but I think he'll play 25 or so. Then this team has a bunch of other players who are veterans who I don't think will improve much. I think they'll just be the players who they were before. They have guys like Spencer Dinwiddie, who I think is above average point guard in today's NBA. He's a guy who could average over 20 points, but he won't do it on great efficiency. But he's definitely a very solid player. I think he probably will be starting. They also have Corey Kispert, who's projected to be the best shooter in his draft class. And I think that's a skill that can help them straight out the gate. They also have Montrezl Harrell, who was the 6th man of the year just a few years ago, and hopefully in this new scenery where he gets the ball more, he could get back to that. They also have Davis Bertans, who used to be one of the best shooters in the whole league. He played kind of bad last season, but I still think he's good for his floor space and things like that. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is just a solid player. So I think this is a team that's going to be very good on the offensive side of the floor, as they have multiple guys who could create their own shot, and Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, Spencer Dinwiddie, and even Montrezl Harrell can create his own shot, especially in the post. Then they have guys who can space the floor at an above average level, and they have guys who can create plays. So as I said, I think this is a team that will be good on the offensive side of the floor, but just because you're a good offense doesn't mean you'll be an amazing team. But when we discuss the defensive side of the floor for this team, it simply is not amazing, because if you remember last year, the Wizards were one of the worst defenses in the NBA, and yes, I am aware that they had a stretch of actually being one of the best defenses in the NBA, but this roster to me does not look like one that will be amazing on defense, because on the roster they have no players who are above or maybe elite defenders. It's maybe outside of Daniel Gafford, but he's not even elite. He's just a really good defender. And then the rest of their players are average or below average. And they have a few guys who might be liabilities, such as Montrezl Harrell due to his height, and Davis Bertans because he's just super slow. But although I don't think they'll be great on defense, I don't think they'll be absolutely horrible. I think they'll rank somewhere around the 18th or 17th best defense at best, and at worst the 23rd ranked defense, which is not terrible. answer the question of why the Washington Wizards are ranked number 23, it's just due to the fact that I think this team's defense can drastically hold them back. They also made a lot of new additions to this roster, and I think they could start the season seeing a lot of chemistry issues. And I also think there are just better teams in the Eastern Conference that are simply like better than them. But what I do want to say is that I could like easily see the Washington Wizards making the play-in tournament this season. They don't have a bad roster. I'd actually argue that it's a better roster than the one they had last season because of the depth. And literally every season has a bunch of injuries, and obviously there's a chance that the injuries could go in the Washington Wizards' favor and help them be better than even I think. Obviously I'm not like hoping for injuries, but there's going to be injuries every year. There's going to be teams that like miss on the playoffs because of injuries, and like hopefully for the Wizards, they're not a team that gets injured and stuff like that. But if everyone's like fully healthy, I do think the Washington Wizards would make it just short of the play-in tournament. When I say I think the Wizards could. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think the Wizards will make the playoffs. Drop a like on this video, that will my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to help me reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And I'm out.